Just take these pills and makes it better, but withdrawals will make you seize up and tweak. You gotta buy it every month, we change the brand, it's more expensive this week. I'll hold my chin up, keep this grin up like my mother, she can worry like me. But if I have you, life is worth it, love is more than a contagious disease. I think of you, I think of me, a family, is this another pipe dream? But if these dreams mean anything, I'm gonna think whatever I want to think. I just can't convince myself to look. Why can't I be strong in the place where you read your books? I just can't rely on happenstance. Didn't say goodbye before you died, I should've took that chance. But you'll never leave me, no, my heart is bleeding, and I know this feeling's not fleeting. Your hugs were the best thing, just wrapped up in your strength. I'd give up to be there right now. I just want you back, we all want that. I just wish that you hadn't forgotten. I hate this disease, I hate human beings. We fall apart before we get broken. I just can't believe you're not here with me. We should be out back sitting underneath that willow tree. Talk and I'd be listening. I didn't take the time to read your mind before you forgot me. Okay. But you'll never leave me, no, my heart is bleeding, and I know this feeling's not fleeting. Your hugs were the best thing, just wrapped up in your strength. I'd give up to be there right now. I just want you back, we all want that. I just wish that you hadn't forgotten. I hate this disease, I hate human beings. We fall apart before we get broken. Lock myself in my room to listen to voices recorded. Don't walk outside to avoid being avoided. This feeling that comes with not having a purpose. If I find something soon, maybe I won't feel so worthless. I've always felt this rhythm, but I thought it'd be pointless. Playing music that's for rich folks, not a prophet of poignance. But pointless is a feeling that comes over me often. Though I keep going for a fear of not affording my own coffin. I know I sound sad, but I've got to be honest. It's soothing to me and it helps with my progress. If writing these songs helps me change, then I have to. Not even for me, but everyone that I matter to. I've got got this feeling life won't always be like this. My dad said to me, it's your calling, your purpose. Walking through this life like a man with no shadow. Always pain, I owe myself more than that. If I learned my lesson, could I go back to high school? Tell myself to have some fun, don't be so pent up. I'm so scared and I don't know what to do. All this medicine does is hide the truth. You be happy if you've got nothing to prove. So get up and get out there, son, what you got to lose. Run hot water. My sights are skewed, forgive me, Father. Sent you a text over dramatic. Got the response I wish I hadn't. I feel ashamed beneath my sleeves. Too much has changed, I have to leave. I love my family, I love my friends. And as for you, some good things end. I wish I hadn't. Things don't just change, we make them happen. I proved a point, forgave my father. Became less bitter, cause love is softer. I think I'm going off the deep end. I think I took a left when I should've took a right at the bend. I think I'm looking at the wrong trends. All these different people around me and they're calling me friend. Come on man, let's just pass the time. From amphetamine to weed, all it takes is a drive. And it's alright, I got you this time. Let's just pick up something quick, I want out of my mind. I think I'll look into some new friends. Everyone I know seems to somehow trip me up in the end.
Welcome, everybody. How are y'all doing tonight? This is Ross coming to you live. It is the SchuBros coming to you live on a Monday. We've got Kyle. How you doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing fine, sir. I had a busy day. A lot of stuff going on today. So very interesting day today for me and my career. A lot of reviewing that I had to do and a lot of testing I had to do, but we got through it and it's finally done and we're good to go. Hopefully.
Well, that's good. So today was a interesting day in my career too. So for the first time in the history of oil, we have a negative price.
Well,
We bottomed out at negative $38 today, which means that if you were to be willing to find space to take it, they would have sent you a barrel of oil and paid you $38 for you to take it.
so how does one actually buy a barrel of oil? Is that possible for, Joe Schmo off the street, or is that only capable of being done by an oil company?
So as far as I know, that's usually done by hedging firms that are buying. So usually that's done by the refineries and things like this. People who have storage capacity, they're able to buy oil. So you're able to buy into the commodities market, but typically you're not buying an actual barrel of oil. You're buying a stake in a barrel of oil that somebody else is storing for you. So in this case, it's not like you're just going to be able to go out and buy a barrel of oil right now. But if you had storage capacity, if you were able to, you could find a broker, you would be able to buy oil. Well, actually, be paid to take oil off their hands. So at this point, we have more oil than we know where to put it. We don't have anywhere for it to go, so we need it to go somewhere. So at this point, we will take people to take it off our hands because we just have absolutely dog shit to go. But before we get going any further, I do want to say to all of our viewers, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like and then hit that notification bell, all notifications, so that you always get to know when we're streaming. And big news for this Thursday, Kyle and I are going to be doing a live stream of the NFL draft, the first round. We're going to be streaming it live, and we're going to be going pick by pick. We're going to be giving Kyle's going to give analysis off the college football side. I'm going to give analysis off the pro football side. Since Kyle's a bigger college football fan, I'm a bigger pro football fan, and we're going to let you guys know what we think about every draft pick for the first round. Depending on time, we might get into the second and third round as well and see where those players are going. We got, on the thumbnail, we got Justin Matabuke, who we're fingers crossed he's got an outside shot of being a late first round pick. So that's our hope for this year, is that we're going to get to call his name somewhere Thursday night. That stream's going to start at 6 p.m. So make sure you set your reminders. Make sure you set your notification bell so that it lets you know. YouTube will let you know so that you know when to get on and talk to us.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the first round. I haven't been paying it as good attention to it as I normally do, just because so much other things are going on right now. I haven't really paid attention to it because I honestly kind of almost forgot about it because you're not hearing about pro days, you're not hearing about workouts, you're not hearing the normal things that get you excited about the draft. So, with that said, I am looking forward to it. It'll be something to watch on TV that's not the news, that's not COVID related, that's entertainment, even it's sports, but it's not really sports. I mean, it's something to watch that'll be fun to watch. I'm not sure how we're going to watch it and live stream it. We'll figure that out eventually. I personally don't have a TV in this room, but I could bring up ESPN on my computer.
Yeah, that's my plan.
Yeah.
Is just to have ESPN streaming on my computer, and then we'll rebroadcast that on the stream. If you guys haven't noticed, we're tinkering with the layout again. I'm constantly tinkering with it as I learn more and more about the program. My wife is teaching me Photoshop, so the thumbnails are hopefully going to start getting to be a little nicer, a little more intricate. We're trying to get better for you guys, little bit by little bit here.
We're also working on the stream itself because we've had quite a few
technical difficulties.
Yeah, technical difficulties and complaints. People telling us, "Hey, the audio was dog shit. I couldn't listen. I just turned it off after 5 minutes." I was like, "Oh shit! If you'd have listened to the 6th minute, that's when we fixed it." You know?
Yeah. So we're working on these things as we go. It is a learning curve for us. Neither Kyle and I are professionals at this in any means. We're just really good at talking, and we were hoping that somebody else would do the technical portions of it, but unfortunately no. So now Kyle and I are trying to figure that out as well. I'm starting to get a little better. I'm making improvements in my computing power. I'm making improvements in my software. I'm making improvements in my abilities, and hopefully it's going to be noticeable for you guys. Hopefully the sound quality is going to be better. Hopefully the video quality is going to be better. Hopefully everything is going to continue to grow and grow and grow, so that you guys, when you watch it, it's worth watching for you guys. It's not something that you just turn off after a few minutes because it's dog shit. So hopefully, and please let us know if we are open on the live chat. So if you are watching live right now, you hear something you don't like, it doesn't sound right, it doesn't look right, make sure you leave a comment there. We'll try to see what we can do to fix it real quick.
And just as an FYI, Ross's voice always sounds that grating. Don't worry, that's normal. But if like you're hearing like an echo or a delay, a snap, a click, or something like that, that's what we're meaning by that. Recently, Ross and I really dove down into the schematics of his computer as well as the stream itself. So by doing so, we were able to identify a few things that were causing issues. Ross has rectified some of them. He's ordered a part for his computer that'll hopefully help rectify it, and he's watching another computer and hoping that it's going to go on sale soon due to the fact that Amazon Prime days are coming up. So fingers crossed that device will go on sale. He'll be able to get it for a good price. And then with that newer machine, have a more robust computer to do better streams, better quality streams and stuff of that nature. But in the meantime, he's got pretty much his computer, everything shut down other than the streaming device, the streaming service, and Skype, which is what we're talking across. So I'm monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions, I'll be taking those questions and then passing them along to Ross in our Discord server. And then
I am watching live via YouTube as well.
Okay.
So I have it on my phone. So I will see any chats that come across. So if you do have a chat, feel free to leave it there. I am watching it as well. I just have to watch it on my phone versus watching it on my computer. So let's get back in a little bit more about the draft, the upcoming draft. So Thursday night, for all you guys who want to watch, we will be live streaming Thursday night, pick by pick. We'll give our analysis of it. Kyle's on the college football side. I'm more on the pro football side. So Kyle will tell us about that player in college. He's done in-depth research on every prospect, all 800 whatever seniors that are coming out of college football this year.
Juniors and redshirt sophomores.
The juniors and redshirt sophomores as well. He's got in-depth analysis on every single one of them that played for A&M. I promise you.
Yes.
Other than that, you're probably shit out of luck. But if
SEC players, I know a decent amount of.
Yeah. So we'll talk about it as much as we can. We'll give you as much knowledge as we can. And, of course, we'll react as the teams we like, the Texans, the Cowboys,
Broncos.
the NFC East teams, the Broncos. As those teams pick, we'll react to those picks as well. And, of course, if there's any kind of surprises, any kind of trades, we'll react to all of that. So, the first news I'm hearing about the draft coming out today is that I've now heard that Tua Tagovailoa is off of 3 teams' boards due to injury concerns. What do you think about that?
Doesn't surprise me. Due to the fact that he did have that pretty gruesome injury. I thought at this point, though, he had gotten better, but apparently that, and combined with his very low test scores, like lower than Vince Young's.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
So he scored low on the test.
Yeah,
at the
he
draft,
scored
at the
lower than
combine.
Vince Young did. I mean, that's
goodness,
saying
that's,
something.
yeah.
If you score lower than Vince Young, then
What about did he score lower than Jamarcus Russell? Because I think Jamarcus Russell had the lowest for a quarterback ever.
I don't think so. I think it was like a 12 or a 13, if I remember correctly. So
yeah, they usually want quarterbacks to be in the 30s.
Yeah, and
what was it? I think Carson Palmer had like the highest ever.
Yeah,
or Andrew Luck maybe it was Andrew Luck.
One of those two probably. But the other quarterback from Oklahoma that had been at Alabama, he didn't score very well either. So that was the little bit I've been spending on tech stack.
You're telling me that Alabama is not so worried about the academic prowess of their athletes.
I have a feeling that that's kind of low on their totem pole or low on their priority list, whichever way you want to
go. Throw hard, run fast. I think is more high on their list of things. There's a little come and go to that because we've seen players who haven't scored very well on that do well in the NFL, but we've also seen players who like Jamarcus Russell, like Vince Young, Morris Claiborne. For a recent Cowboys pick, he scored very poorly on it. There was claims that he didn't, that he was protesting it and he just went in there and marked down answers real quick and walked out. But we see that, he didn't fare very well in the NFL. And now, was that due to testing? No, not really, because he had an injury history. He was always kind of injured, always kind of had a nicked ankle or a nicked knee or something that was always giving him shit during his first few years and really slowed his development, kept him from being able to really go out and become something worthwhile. But, that test is not irrelevant. It does tell coaches, it does tell teams, and the part that's hurting Tua right now is that usually he would have had 6 weeks to go interview with every team and explain to them why he did bad and talk to them in person and give them a better feel for who he is as a person and how he was going to react. But he hasn't had that. There's not been any face-to-face meetings. There's no human-to-human contact. Anything has happened either over Skype or Zoom or whatever else. And so you just don't get that same feel for somebody on an online presentation as you would in person, sitting down, going to dinner.
Exactly. It's a lot different to be face to face to someone than it is to be streaming, even Skype, or Zoom or whatever it may be. Yeah, you get to talk to them. Yeah, you get to interact with them, but you don't notice the little subtle nuances, especially body language, because you can hide your hands below the screen.
Like you mean like the fact that you're not wearing pants right now?
I'm wearing shorts. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I could be, but I at least put shorts on. I try to be at least I can go out in public ready, just in case anything were to happen.
In case the shit goes down.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
All right. So an interesting thing about Tua is that he is high on the Cowboys board, and there's there's talk that they're not going to pick him in the first. They're not going to spend a first-round draft pick on a quarterback. They do have Dak Prescott. But if he were to fall, if he were to make it into the mid-second or possibly even the third, if he was to have a precipitous fall, kind of like we saw Geno Smith have a couple years ago, that the Cowboys would then be interested. And there's talks that the Cowboys are going to look to trade down with their first-round pick if the players, there's a couple cornerbacks they're looking at. There's a couple safeties they're looking at with the 17th pick. But the safeties, it's a little high to pick those safeties. There's talk that they may trade that pick out and try to trade back later in the round and maybe pick up a second, or they could go after Jamal Adams out of the New York Jets, former LSU product, who's been one of the best young safeties in the league. He's coming up on the 3rd year of his contract, so he's going into the 4th year. So the Cowboys were flirting mid-season with going after him. They wanted 2 first-round picks. Now there's some belief that maybe they'll give him up for 1. So we'll see what happens there, whether or not the Cowboys are able to swing a deal there if none of the players they want there at number 1 are on the board still.
Have you heard the rumor, and I'm sure it's just a rumor, but there's a rumor going around that the Texans and the Cowboys would trade quarterbacks straight up?
I have not heard the rumor. I personally don't believe it.
Because
while I think Bill O'Brien is stupid enough to do it, right?
Yeah.
And Deshaun Watson probably wants the hell out of Dodge after all the crap Bill O'Brien's pulled. I don't think the Cowboys would be inclined to do that. I think Dak Prescott is a more durable quarterback than Deshaun Watson. Although Deshaun Watson is probably a more electric quarterback, a more sensational quarterback than Dak Prescott is, I think Dak Prescott is the more durable option. He's also probably going to have the longer career. I think Deshaun Watson's going to have a very good career. I think he's going to be for 5, 6, 7 years, one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. But I'm worried about durability with him. He's small, he's frail, he's light. He's not frail. I wouldn't say frail.
So
right?
he's pretty big.
For a guy his size, right? But
yeah.
The way he moves, the many shots as he takes, and the porousness of the Houston's
that was part of the
line.
reason they wanted to do the trade, is because he would have a better career behind Dallas's line. And Dak, with his demands right now, would be able to go to Houston, and Houston would be able to absorb the cap hit, no problem, give him the contract he wants, whereas Deshaun would come over and he still got another year and a half on his contract, I
2
believe
years, yeah,
it's
of cheap contract, yeah.
another season on his contract after this one. So then Dallas would have the ability to then try to negotiate.
I mean, there is incentive there for the Cowboys, right, to do it. I I don't put a lot of credence in that. The big trade I think will happen before draft is that Leonard Fournette gets traded out of Jacksonville. There's a lot of talk now that he's on the block, that Jacksonville is just trying to cut back again and try to pick up picks. They thought they had their quarterback last year, Nick Foles. He's now in Chicago with Jacksonville taking a massive cap hit for him. They've got Gardner Minshew, who was a 6th-round pick last year. No, he played well in the NFL. Don't get me wrong, but there's some talk that maybe the Jags go after Cam Newton because Cam Newton's still available. He's still out in the free agent market. We don't know where he's going to come into yet. Jameis Winston's still on the free agent market. We don't know where he's going to be playing next year yet. I don't think either of those questions get answered until after the draft. We'll see whoever misses out on their quarterback, whether Jacksonville or Miami or whoever misses out on the quarterback they want. Then we'll probably see one of them bring one of those guys in as a stopgap option until next year or the year after, until they get to draft again. So it's good. And another QB that's not being talked about right now, and I've kind of advocated a little bit for the Cowboys to go after him as a backup, would be Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen came out of UCLA and was supposed to be the next coming of John Elway. And, he's had a rough start to his NFL career. He spent his first year in Arizona where he played okay as a rookie. He went to Miami last year. He played not great in his second year in a new system with a different quarterback coach and a different coach and a bunch of different shit. And the team wasn't very good and not really trying to win either. But, I mean, he's a young guy with a lot of upside. He was a top 10 pick at some point in time in the NFL, in his career. And, for the first 3 years of his college career, he was thought to be a for sure number one. He's gonna be the number one pick. And I just think if you're the Cowboys, what's the problem bringing him into camp and letting him throw some balls and see if there's anything there worth developing?
Is he a free agent or is he under contract?
He was cut by Miami.
Wow, Miami's full on Duma Hazel, aren't they?
They're. I mean, well,
tank mode?
Again, Miami's in tank mode, right?
Okay.
They were in the tank for Tua mode. They didn't. Unfortunately, the players kind of rebelled at the end of the year and refused to tank anymore and won some games. So they kind of shot themselves in the foot there at the end of the season, where they had a chance for the number one pick and played well enough with Ryan Fitzpatrick to win some games at the end of the year.
You mean Fitzmagic?
And Fitzmagic, man. I mean, the guy. You can say what you want about Fitzmagic. He's a Harvard-educated guy. He's very smart. He's not the most gifted athletically player that's ever played the game, but he doesn't make mistakes. He can put the ball in a spot when you need him to, and he's a tough SOB. The guy will just stand in there, take the hits, deliver the ball. He's not going to throw the ball 80 yards from, flat-footed, but can he win football games? I think he's proven in his NFL career, whether it was with the Jets, whether it was with the Texans, whether it was with the Dolphins, whether it was with whatever, Tampa Bay last year when he was platooning with Jameis Winston. He's just always proven to be a great quarterback. The problem is that every time he gets signed to a reasonable contract, a good contract, the next year he comes out and absolutely goes into a dud season. And then he can't. It seems like every time he gets signed to a good contract, he comes out and he's an idiot. He always needs the incentive of getting a new contract to be great.
Yeah, he plays better from the underdog position.
Well, and there's a little bit of truth to that. I think so, and he's definitely one of the best backups in the NFL at the moment, other than maybe Nick Foles. But we'll see what becomes of Foles in Chicago. I was really surprised he didn't go back to Philadelphia, honestly. I was really surprised Foles didn't go back to Philadelphia.
Okay, so I sent you a link for the Daily Snark about Tua scoring a 13. The top quarterback was Nate Stanley from Iowa with a 40.
Okay.
Then you had
Jake. Whoa, shit.
Yeah, 40. I was like, wow.
That's way up there.
Yeah. The perhaps punter. Former Eagles. No, sorry. No, it was former Eagles defensive end Mike Mamula.
Yeah.
Scored at 49 back in 95.
So and Fitzpatrick scored. So Fitzpatrick, a Harvard grad, scored a 48 when he went through.
Yep, it says that right there too. And then so Nate Stanley had a 40, Jake Fromm had a 35, Joe Burrow had a 34, very respectable.
Those are
Not too
respectable
low.
scores. No, those are good scores.
Jake Luton of Oregon State had a 29, Jordan Love with 27, Justin Herbert from Oregon 25, and Jordan Love was from Utah State. Sorry if I didn't mention that one. Anthony Gordon from Washington State at 25, Brian Lewerke from Michigan. Lewerke from Michigan State at 25, Jacob Eason from Washington, formerly Georgia, 23. That's kind of surprising. James Morgan from Florida International at 23, Jalen Hurts from Oklahoma at 18, and then two from Bama at 13. So that's the quarterbacks considered draftable.
I think at this point with Jalen Hurts, we got to say that's Oklahoma, right? I mean,
yeah.
Oklahoma. I mean, because it's definitely not. He spent 4 years at Oklahoma or at Bama, and then 1 year at Oklahoma. Is he really an Oklahoma product? Like, don't get me wrong, he played well.
It's like saying Kyler Murray is an Oklahoma product. I mean, yes, he did go there.
It's like A&M trying to take credit for his Heisman.
A&M can't take credit for him, and I don't say Oklahoma can either. I mean, he's just kind of he floated.
I think he spent 3 years he spent 2 years at Oklahoma and 1 or half a year at A&M. I'm going to say he's more of an Oklahoma side than he is an A&M side.
He's definitely more Oklahoma than he is A&M. But
is he all of one? No, but is he some of both? Probably.
And that actually brings up an interesting subject. The NCAA is voting on a proposed rule change. I think it's come May, that will allow players a one-time free transfer without having to graduate. So we're gonna and it's suspected to pass. Like that's what surprised me, is it not just as being proposed and being voted on, it's suspected to pass. So you're seeing a lot of basketball players kind of float the idea that as soon as it passes, they're going to be transferring. A&M has benefited from that already. They got a center / strong forward from a very small school, or very weird name school up in the Northeast. I think part of the Big East, and he was the nation's leading rebounder. So he's coming to A&M next year as part of that to replace what's his name? Damn it. The center that we lost this year, the strong forward that we're losing this year due to being a senior and going hopefully to the NBA, but more than likely to the Europe. Yeah, the Europe. Well, he might go G League. He might have a chance in the G League. We'll see.
He does. All right, so I put the list that we were looking at there on the board for you guys, so you can see it real quick. Like Kyle said, Nate Stanley scored a 40, which is very good. It's a 50-point test. 40, anything above a 30 is considered to be above average, very good. Jake Fromm from Georgia, he's a prospect as a quarterback that it seems like he has all the tools. I just don't. When I watch him play, maybe a little Brett Favre-ish, just a little reckless with the ball sometimes. He seems to throw a lot of interceptions. Joe Burrow, of course, who is going to be the number 1 overall pick. Jake Luton, who's going to be a late 5th, 6th round pick. Jordan Love. Jordan Love is an interesting prospect here. There's a lot of first-round love for Jordan Love, which is kind of weird to me because out of Utah State, not a big school, he didn't face great competition, but he's got the physical side of it down, right? I think if you take his physicality, it's there, right? He's got the size, he's got the weight, he's got the speed, he's got the arm talent, he's got the arm strength. But can he read defenses at a level that's required for the NFL? That's going to be a great question to ask because although he scored all right on the Wonder League test, he didn't score great. Is he capable of playing in the NFL? Is he worth a first-round draft pick? And I think if you're looking for a quarterback in 3 years, maybe. He kind of falls in that Lamar Jackson.
He's probably one of those that you draft and stash. You draft him, you stash him on a development team, your practice squad, a year or two. Was it 2 years you can be on the practice squad now?
Well, you're not going to put a first-round draft pick on the practice squad because remember, any player that's on the practice squad can be stolen by another team.
I'm not saying he's going to be a first-round pick. I'm just saying he's one of those that reminds me of a player that
he will be a first-round pick. I mean, that's more.
Will he? We've said that about many players. We said that about Johnny Manziel, and
he was a first-round pick. He was a first-round pick, number 22 to Cleveland.
We thought he was going to be number 1.
First round.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, you're not going to put one of your first top 3 round draft picks into the practice squad. Because remember, if you're on the practice squad, if a player is on the practice squad, he can be stolen by any other team. All they have to do is sign him to the active roster. So any player on a practice squad for any team, if they are signed to the active roster of any other team, they're gone, right? So you just lose that draft capital, and a 3rd-round pick is still very valuable in the NFL. You're expecting to get a frontline starter with a 3rd-round draft pick, right? Anything from the first you're supposed to get a star. The second, you're supposed to get a very good player, if not a star. The third, you're supposed to get a starter caliber player. The fourth, that's maybe where you're taking a shot at somebody. Fifth, sixth, seventh, that's where you're looking at, okay, developmental prospects. But 1st through 3rd, those are guys that are supposed to come in and play. Now, if I'm Jordan Love, I'm looking at, can I get to the Colts or the Steelers? Those are the 2 places I'm trying to go right now. Because the Steelers have Mason Rudolph, who played okay, but I don't think the Steelers are committed to him. And you could go,
especially after the audio came out to them about what he did with Miles.
Okay, so I haven't seen that. If there's actual
audio,
audio,
it's not released to the public, but I've been told from people who know that the NFL sent the audio to the Steelers. They reviewed it and they did some backroom punishment,
okay.
and they don't love him because of it.
Okay.
So, especially with how diverse the league is.
So I don't think the Steelers are sold on Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph's a good NFL quarterback, but I think he's a good backup. I don't think he's ever going to be a starting caliber NFL quarterback. If you think Jordan Love, with 2 to 3 years in the league, could become a starting level quarterback, I think the Steelers are a good option there. The other option I think is great is the Indianapolis Colts. They just signed Phillip Rivers, but we know that's a 1-year deal.
Yeah, he's old.
And Phillip Rivers is on his way out of the league. Here,
what about Tampa Bay behind
Brady?
The GOAT. Yeah.
So that's another option. That's not a bad option there for Tampa.
New Orleans behind Breeze.
So New Orleans has a backup currently that they like a lot, Taysom Hill. And then there's still talk about them bringing Jameis in to be the backup. That's going to be interesting to see. I don't think New Orleans spends a first on a quarterback. I think they have enough other issues, and they want to take one more run with Breeze, right? You're spending a first on a quarterback if you know you're not making a run this year, or you're so solid in what you have. So I don't think Tampa Bay is going to have an option there because I think they need too much other stuff. Tampa needs offensive line. Tampa needs maybe a tight end. Tampa needs some defensive line help. So, there's other places there that they could spend that pick that I think would be more valuable to them than spending it on a stashed quarterback. But Indianapolis definitely could spend it on a stashed quarterback. Pittsburgh could definitely spend it on a stashed quarterback. Or, San Diego could definitely send it there and give them a chance to come in, develop under who they've got right now, which I don't even know who the starter right now in San Diego is. If you had to press me on it, I don't even know who the hell they have. But there's another place. Wherever Cam Newton goes is another option. And then lastly, Seattle, right? Seattle has a Jordan Love-ish quarterback already in place with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's game is – Jordan Love's game is similar enough to what Russell Wilson does. Is Jordan Love Russell Wilson? Of course not. Russell Wilson's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. But is Jordan Love enough like Russell Wilson that you don't have to completely change your offense if Russell Wilson goes out to bring Jordan Love in? I think there's something there. Pete Carroll has done a good job developing quarterbacks in his career, so I think there's some chance. So if I'm Jordan Love, I'm trying to get to one of those teams. What I don't want to have happen is I don't want to be drafted by Jacksonville. I don't want to be drafted by Atlanta. I don't want to be drafted by any team that's got, or even, Cincinnati, if they somehow don't get Burrow for whatever reason, they don't take Burrow. I don't want to be drafted by any of those teams that could possibly are going to stash me for 5 years and I'm never going to get a chance to do anything. Or going to throw me in real quick and with a crap team and I'm not going to have a chance to shine. Miami is another place. If I'm him, I don't want to go to Miami.
Yeah, I'd almost sit out a year and then play at Miami at this point. That's right now where careers go to die. I'm not saying that's going to be long term, but right now, this second, I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, if you're a quarterback right now, unless you're Tua, unless you're one of those top guys who thinks they can go in and make it work, Miami has some decent pieces, right? Their defense is not bad, and they've got some okay wide receivers. Their offensive line is decent, but they're going to need a quarterback who can come in and move around and take some hits. That's why I don't know that Miami's going to go for Tua. Everybody is, Miami's going for Tua. With Tua's injury history, do they really, do they want to put him out there week one and risk him getting hurt when he's just coming back off an injury, which is probably going to put him out for the year again? And it's not with Tua, it's not just one thing, right? It's not one injury. He's had an ankle, he's had a hip, he's had a knee. He's enough banged up that I can understand why these teams are taking him off their boards, and they don't have him there. And I think Dallas is looking at him because they have the offensive line to keep him upright. He fits their system fairly well, coming out of what a lot of what Dak Prescott does, Tua can do, and he would be able to stash for a year or two. And I think on Dallas' side of it, it's looking at it as, what if we can't get a long-term deal with Dak done? Right? What if we just can't get a long-term deal with Dak done? If we have Tua, that gives us leverage. If we don't have Tua or a suitable quarterback who could take over should Dak walk, we're going to be looking at like what Washington had when Kirk Cousins left. Just, oh shit, what do we do now?
Yeah, you don't want to be in that situation. That's definitely not where you want to be.
I mean, if you're being compared to Washington Redskins, you're in the wrong conversation.
Exactly. I don't know what's going to happen with Dak because to me, he doesn't seem like, I'll be perfectly honest, I think he's a good player. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I don't think he's worth that kind of money. Someone might be willing to pay it if he goes on the free market, the free agency market, but I kind of don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to get hit with the blunt head of reality in that he's overvaluing himself. I hope for his sake he's not, but I think there's an agent somewhere telling him, hey, you're worth X, hold out for X. And that agent's looking for his payday, not looking out what's best for Dak. So with that said, I don't know.
Well,
I don't see it. I don't see the Cowboys agreeing to that high of a price. I don't see him agreeing to that low of a price. He might walk. I'd be interested to see what he can get on the free agent market.
I'm trying to fix my hair in the mirror here, and it's not going well. I'm just going all the wrong direction every time.
This is our COVID haircut today,
dude,
or lack thereof.
I gotta think about what I'm doing here because I'm looking at everything in mirror image here. So.
Yeah. I was lucky enough that I went and got my haircut right before they closed down barbershops being a non-essential location. So I'm not, great by any means.
Well,
but
we supposedly have 2
pretty
more
good.
days before things are going to start opening up, right? 2 more days. April 22nd is supposed to kind of be the day that things start coming back. Of course, the economy being what it is, that's going to be the question, right? Is there enough economy for people
To actually go back to work.
It's chicken versus egg, right?
Yeah.
Because people aren't going to go out if businesses aren't open, and businesses aren't going to open if people aren't going out. So
I actually had a long conversation today with one of my friends in the healthcare industry about this subject. And like my idea on it is like we need to start opening things back up. We need to start getting back to normal life. But caveat.
Yeah.
We need to if it's available, the antibodies test. We need to be taking that. If you come back and it shows that you have antibodies, cool. Go about your business. If it doesn't, or you don't feel safe and comfortable going back to your business, then you can stay at home. And if companies that allow people to work from home, cool, work from home.
Yeah.
But for the people that have their antibodies and they want to go out and they want to start doing things again, good. Go ahead and do so. Now, he sent me a link to a scientific review that said that this was not lab created, but it was from somebody in Queensland, and that's too close to China for my liking to say that that's probably not some money trading hands. And he started calling me a tinfoil guy. I was like, look, dude, China has a history of covering shit up. China has a history for paying people off.
There's a great meme in that range today. I'll get it up so we can put it on the screen here in a second. But there was an absolutely fantastic meme my wife sent me today that it basically had all the numbers from most of the big countries, and it had China going, "You guys are counting?"
Exactly.
So let me
And
get
he's
that
like,
pulled
well,
up.
they're opening back up. I was like, yeah, but they also like locked down, not kind of locked down, government enforced, tanks on the roads, you die if you come out, kind of lockdown.
Yeah, and I mean that's Tiananmen Square type stuff, man. I mean it just you ask is this stuff worth it? Is it worth dealing with? And I don't know. I can't say that it is. But here's my point to you to everybody. And this is the point I've been arguing with lots of people online and in person cuz I go to work and I got guys that want to argue with me there. That's fine. Um, we're bored right now. We don't have that much to do, so we're arguing over other shit. This comes down to being a personal decision. We're all adults. We're all capable of understanding risk. We're all capable of understanding that this is going on, that we need to take precautions, that there's things we need to be doing differently in our lives. And if you're not capable of understanding that, then you shouldn't be out of a mental institution. I mean, if you don't know that you need to take precautions with this, I'm sorry, you ought to be institutionalized. We ought to be putting you somewhere away
Yeah.
because you can't take care of yourself.
So
And
here was my idea.
go ahead.
So we take the antibodies test, prove if you had it or haven't had it. If you come back as you've had it and you now have the antibodies, and if you're unemployed and you want to work, you now get put to work making PPE, personal protective equipment. And everyone who's willing and capable of doing so gets put to work making PPE. It's not the most glamorous job in the world, but it's a needed job right now. So everybody that can goes to work making PPE that wants to live, wants to make their own money, whatever it may be. Once that or effort is gotten to a point where the hospitals are completely stocked again and we can start selling some of this equipment to the general public, then we start allowing more people to start going out because now we have masks for people to go out. And then you slowly just keep growing from there. Okay, so now we have enough PPE for the hospitals, we have enough PPE for people to go out, and as we keep growing and keep getting back to normal, then we just keep slowly moving back in. Now, I'm not saying, just snap your fingers and we're back to real life, but this is at least a step in that direction. And a way to help ensure that the herd immunity is growing and built up. Because most of us are going to be affected by herd immunity and not because let's face facts, it's going to take a while for them to get a vaccine created. Best efforts I'm seeing is 2-3 months, and even then, that's too long. That's too long to wait for us to get back. The economy is going to be completely borked by that time. So at least by making PPE, the economy starts getting stimulated again. People get back to work. People are doing things, feeling like they're part of the solution instead of just sitting at home doing nothing. So, I'm not saying this is the best plan ever. I'm just saying it's a plan, and I'm tired of sitting at home doing nothing. I mean, I'm working, but there's other people that are sitting at home doing nothing that could be doing something to help fight this.
Well, if oil keeps turning negative, I might not have a choice in the matter here much longer. Let's knock on wood. Hope it comes back. You guys start driving shit. Start running your generators for no fucking reason. I mean, hell, gas is gonna be so cheap. What's it gonna hurt you? You got that $5,000. You got that $1,200 stimulus check. Come on, man. Burn some gas.
Yeah,
we need it because we're not. The tankers are coming from Saudi, whether we like it or not. So you guys just help us out, man. Do what you can to help us out, get us where we need to go. So I've got that meme up on the screen there. It says Spain, we had 18,000 coronavirus related cases. Italy, 18,000. We've counted over 20,000. USA, 20K. We've already up to 24K, man. China, you guys are counting? And I mean, it's sad to say, but that's fairly true. And I wish it wasn't true, but Even Trump pointed out the other day, they were showing the graph of deaths per 100,000 people, and it's all these other countries with highly sophisticated medical systems, and it's 30 deaths per 100,000, 25 deaths per 100,000. U.S. is sitting at 11 deaths per 100,000. China has 0.33 deaths per 100,000. It's like there's no way that's true. There's no way that that's possibly true, right? That's got to be just an error in reporting of the numbers.
Or a blatant lie.
Blatant lie is probably the bigger option there.
I'm going with blatant lie. We saw how long it took them to admit that it was an issue in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
How long it took them to lock down cities and states within China. There's no way. There's no way.
No, I agree with you. I don't think there is. I think they're just, at this point, they're,
Have they allowed the CDC in yet? To the day, have they allowed the CDC to come?
For what I know, I don't know that the CDC is in there yet.
Until the American CDC comes in and actually does a full review,
yeah,
I ain't believing a word they say.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And it's being said, hey, look, we need an investigation. So that brings up another great point, because now all of a sudden the left is trying to simultaneously say that Trump is being very hard on China, blaming everything on them, but at the same time he's being Xi's best friend because he said, in late January, early February, he said, I trust Emperor Xi. He's got this under control. He's going to take care of it. He's doing a very good job. So we talked about this when Dan was on with us the first time, right? It's, when is it diplomacy and when is it that you are just a weak to a foreign adversary, right? So we were trying to get China to let us do something in late January, early February, which was get the CDC into China to investigate this. We were trying to get something. When you're trying to get something from somebody, you're going to play nice. You're not going to be a dick to them because you kind of need them to work with you. So I think that at that time, and do I know for certain? Of course not. I'm not Donald Trump. I don't know what he thinks. But I think at the time he was working to be diplomatic with China and try to work for them and not piss them off in a way that would totally...
And we had just signed that big trade agreement with them too, so still trying to be, okay, hey, not the sanctions, the tariffs are being lifted. We're trying to get back to being harmonious with you. We're not going to be a complete asshole. But,
yeah,
hey, dude, why are you lying so much?
Yeah. So, I mean,
things don't make sense.
He brought up the other day during his press conference the same thing about North Korea, because everybody, Trump is giving everything to North Korea. He's just giving them everything. And he goes, what did I give them? I gave them a meeting. We met. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with me meeting with the with the fat guy and talking to him? And maybe it makes things better, but it definitely didn't make things worse. We didn't give him any tariffs back. We didn't cut any of our embargoes on him. And now, because of working with China, we've been able to better control Chinese exports into North Korea, which China's not supposed to be doing, but we all know they were doing. We've now been able to curtail that a little bit. Supposedly the border is locked down. Listen, I don't believe that for a second. But are we limiting the amount of exchanges between China and North Korea? Are we preventing them from going 100% full bore? Because none of this stuff works. None of these tariffs work. None of these sanctions work on North Korea if they still have a valuable trade partner. So we trade with China, and then China trades with North Korea. So that means that all the shit we send to China can then go to North Korea. So it doesn't. The sanctions are being completely worked around. It takes everybody playing the game to make sure North Korea is actually being brought to heel. North Korea has been fairly placated over the last 2 years. We haven't seen that many missile launches. We haven't heard of them testing nuclear weapons. It's been pretty good. We really haven't dealt with them. And like President Trump said, it's diplomacy. You're trying to make a foreign adversary a foreign friend. And you don't fault a president for that if he can do it. Now, I don't think Trump has made us look weak on a world stage in any real facet, right? I think Trump has projected strength, whether it be to NATO, telling the NATO countries, look, either you're going to pay your fair share or we're going to get out of NATO. And everybody trounced him for that. But guess what happened?
NATO got a lot of money from a lot of different countries that wasn't us.
And the NATO general came out and said, "Thank you, President Trump, because thanks to you, we're now getting better equipment. We're getting better resources. We're better able to defend ourselves." And the NATO general is not an American general. I think he's Swedish, maybe, or somewhere like that. He's Western European, but he's not Northwestern European. He's not an American general. So if he's coming out and saying, "Hey, look, this is a good thing. It's helping us," then that's a good thing. And yeah, we needed to be tough on NATO. And of course France didn't like it. Of course Germany didn't like it. Of course Spain didn't like it. You know why they didn't like it? Because they had to spend more money. Because they weren't able to come out and just coast on American laurels anymore. They had to spend the money necessary. And Nikki Haley had something to do with that. She went over there and said it needed to happen. We look at the World Health Organization. Trump's cutting funding to them. Good. Thank God. He's cut funding to the refugee program. He's cutting funding to the World Health Organization. Let's just cut help. Let's get completely gone with the UN. But again, it takes these tough stances to get results. If you go in there and say, "Guys, would you please be willing to pay your fair share?" They're going to look at you and say, "No, go fuck yourselves."
So, sorry I wasn't paying the best of attention to that rant. I just got a notification on Twitter that the number one trending thing is impeached President Trump. So that made me go look at it for a second. I was like, what the hell? Why is this trending? And the reason it's trending is because from like 8 years ago, Kayleigh McEnany tweeted that President Obama was filling out her bracket, and then it had just snowballed from there. So I'm just sitting here going, huh?
Yeah. So listen. Okay, President Trump was impeached. He was obviously acquitted. It doesn't matter anymore. The left wants to. Oh well, he's always impeached. Great. He's still fucking president, whether you like it or not. Whether you like him or not. There's another great meme there that has a as a Venn diagram. Like, okay, is President Trump your president? Are you a U.S. citizen? Yes. No. Okay. No, he's not your president. Yes.
I think that's a flow chart, not a Venn diagram.
There you go. Do you like him? Yes. No. He's still your president. It doesn't matter. Whether you like him or not is irrelevant to the conversation, right? There's plenty of people who didn't like President Obama. It's not because he was black, guys, that we didn't like him, okay? You can say that all you want. It's not because he was black. I have nothing against him being black. I don't really care that he was black. It's because he was a Democrat. If he was a black Republican, I would have loved him, right? But black Democrat, not so much.
I mean, we've had several black Republicans on this. Okay, we've had 3 black Republicans on the show. I mean, and a gay Republican. I mean, we've had multiple Republicans of non-binary male white.
Yeah, cisgender Caucasian. We're not really hitting that. Kyle and I are not the guys that you want to come talk to about this because we're both conservative, leaning a little bit libertarian, where we say what you do in your home is your fucking business and it's on you to decide that. And this is where I go back with the coronavirus risk stuff. It's like, okay, so the argument is, the logical argument people are trying to make now is that you put other people's lives at risk by going out in public with the coronavirus epidemic. You put other people's lives at risk regardless of what you do going out in public. Are you driving a car? You're putting somebody else's life at risk because you could hit them. You could fall asleep while driving. You could have a heart attack while driving. You could have a stroke while driving.
You could be texting on your phone.
You could be texting on your phone. You could be doing 100 things that could possibly kill somebody else while you're driving. And, oh, well, there's laws on that. Yeah, it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Great, you go to jail for manslaughter. I'm still dead, right? It still happened. I don't get to say in it. So we accept risk as people every day of our lives, right? We accept risk every time we breathe in a breath because I'm sitting in my room right now. My chance of risk is fairly low, but it's not non-existent, right? A fucking comet could come out of the sky and come through my roof and hit me in the head. Somebody could shoot a stray bullet that could come through any number of things that could possibly happen. Risk is inevitable. Risk is inherent in life, right? Every time you move, every time you step, every time you breathe, you're accepting a certain amount of risk. What if the Freon was leaking in my air conditioning and coming through my air conditioning ducts? I could die. What if, I don't know, all these different things. So with this, and it's the point I've made to several people, look, risk is there regardless. The risk that we know is going to happen is that 25 million Americans are going to lose their jobs, not be able to make their house bills or pay for their heat or pay for their water or pay for food. Depression's going to happen. A lot of people are going to get depressed and therefore more likely to kill themselves. Please don't kill yourself.
If
Please
they're
don't.
locked up with their families and they were physical
Yeah.
laborers and used to getting their frustrations out by doing physical labor, and now they're stuck at home with their families,
Mm-hmm.
and there's alcohol around, there's a
Yeah.
chance for physical domestic abuse. I mean, that's actually one of the main concerns with this shelter in
Yeah.
place is how high domestic abuse has gone up, and a lot of it's being underreported because the families can't get away from it.
Yep.
Like they can't leave, they can't escape, they can't go to a neighbor's and call the cops.
They can't get a pizza man to come and slip him a note, things like
Exactly.
that. We hear those stories. So, I mean, for me, it's about your right to choose for yourself, okay? And we've talked about this before. We talked about this in terms of economics when we talk about Milton Friedman. We've talked about this in terms of lots of other things. But it comes back, and it's always going to come back for me to freedom of choice. That you have the right to choose for yourself how you live your life and what risk you're willing to accept in doing so. If you don't feel comfortable going out in public right now, don't. It's
No.
that simple. You don't have to. I'm not forcing you to. I'm not asking you to. But
And that was what my plan was about earlier. It was like, look, if you're comfortable going out to work and you have the antibodies, which means that you already had it and can't get it again,
I understand
go
the
work
antibody
on
test.
PPE.
But I don't understand I understand the part about the antibody test, but I don't agree with it because here's the thing. That's putting a government requirement for I'm no longer the one accepting the risk. I'm having to prove my ability to go out in public. And I'm saying
I was meeting the liberals halfway with it.
I understand, but we're at a point, and I know this term is overused in today's culture, but we're at a constitutional crisis, and it's a legitimate constitutional crisis where we have to decide whether or not we're willing to allow our government to place restrictions on our freedoms in times of disaster. And then, because let's extrapolate this out, it's not going to be this disaster that this happens, right? It's not just going to be this time. The next time that there's something scary that happens, the government now knows that we'll accept. You think that governor in Michigan, this is going to be the only time she does this crap? No. If she's reelected, oh, heaven help, Detroit. Because they're going to be so locked the F down, it's not going to be even real. And maybe it'll be considered racist, but probably not because she's a Democrat. So, it's just one of those things where, look, we have to decide whether or not we're willing to let government or somebody else make choices for us. I made this argument the other day to a guy. Look, the whole point of this is, regardless of what you think, I have the right to make choices for myself, whether you think they're stupid or not. You can think they're stupid. Fine. You can hope I die from them. Fine. But I still have the right to make that choice for myself. I don't like that people vote Democrat. I think that's a stupid decision. But I don't get the right to tell them that they can't vote for a Democrat. I don't get the right to tell them that because they're doing something I think is stupid, that they don't get to do it anymore. This literally comes down to the point of every person gets to choose for themselves what they think is best for themselves. And it goes back to the economic dictum that every rational person will work in their own best self-interest. This is where we go back when we talk about why socialism is not going to work, because it's an incentive killer. It kills the incentive in the economy for people to create, for people to innovate, for people to give something of themselves, because there's no longer an incentive for them to get back. I was talking about going in the oil field. The guy the other day, he goes, well, my friend's a nurse. I'm happy to tell her. I'll just tell her she should have quit before this happened. If you're a nurse, if you work in healthcare, you're very well aware that infectious diseases exist. There were other infectious diseases before this one that existed. This isn't the first time an infectious disease has occurred. So when you go through medical school, which Kyle, I did a little bit in basic training. I'm sure you did a little bit of medical stuff too. Did y'all do needle sticks?
Yeah. I think we were one of the last classes to actually do
Life stick.
combat lifesaver. So we stuck each other, gave each other IVs,
Yeah.
drew blood, all that shit.
Did they tell you to drink the guy's blood?
No.
Did they tell you to rub it all over your body? Did they tell you to wear gloves and sterilize yourself and throw the needles away in a sterile place and sharps and make sure all that crap was taken care of and to dispose of anything with bodily fluids on it? This isn't new. This isn't we're not just learning about germs for the first time. We're not still sticking people with fucking leeches and trying to bleed them. This isn't new stuff. If you're a nurse, you understand that infectious diseases occur, and you understand that that's a risk of your job. I'm sorry, but it is. I work in the oil and gas industry, which means if a rig blows up while I'm on it, that's a risk of the job. We take steps to mitigate it. We take steps to reduce the risk of it, but it can still happen, and it can happen in a moment's notice. I got an email today about a guy put hand sanitizer on his hand. He was trying to be corona-free, right? He put hand sanitizer on his hand. And then he went to the rig floor, and his hands caught fire from the hand sanitizer because the alcohol in the hand sanitizer hadn't evaporated yet. There was some built-up static electricity somewhere, and they said it was an invisible flame. So he started feeling like his hand was hot. He didn't know why. And all of a sudden, he felt like he was burning, and he had these boils coming up on his hand, and he went and rinsed it, and they figured it out. They tracked it back. It was an invisible flame. So now they say, okay, well, when you put hand sanitizer on your hands, you need to wait X amount of minutes in an open atmosphere so that you don't ignite that alcohol, which none of us thought alcohol that could burn until this moment. We were all like, okay, it's a hand sanitizer. It's not flammable. It is. If you look at a bottle of hand sanitizer, it directly says the shit is flammable. So
most alcohol above a certain proof is.
Well, it is, but you would think that mixed in with all the other stuff in there, it's not pure alcohol in hand sanitizer, that it would evaporate quickly enough that you really didn't have to worry about it. But apparently you do. And listen, I work in an industry that's one of the most dangerous industries in the world. Right? People lose fingers. I've got guys in my shop that are missing fingers, that are missing pieces of their ear, that are missing teeth.
Explain why you don't wear a ring on the job site.
You don't wear it because that sucker will pull your finger right off. And my company doesn't even allow you to wear the rubber ones. They say no to that.
Can't wear the silicone ones?
No, you can't even wear the silicone ones. They're against that too. They're against it partially because of it collects germs, it collects dirt, it collects mud, things like that. So it's a cleanliness issue, and then also they're not sure that they're going to rip off fast enough in case you get snagged by something. Look, guys, a drilling rig can pull 500,000 pounds. It doesn't give a shit about your finger, right? It'll pull your finger off in a moment, right? And they can pull pipe at 300 feet per minute, so they really don't give a crap about your finger. That thing will just rip your finger off and never even notice it had occurred. You've got machinery that's spinning and torquing things up to 30,000 foot-pounds of torque. It doesn't give a crap if your finger's in the middle of it, right?
I heard one of my offshore guys that I'm friends with was telling me that a guy got his foot in the way and he just cut his foot clean off, and the only thing that kept him from bleeding out was the fact that there was pressure from the pipe holding his foot intact.
It tourniqueted onto him. Yeah. Literally, yeah, I mean, risk is inherent is the point here, right? We can talk about certain things in the oil field, and you can go watch videos. I recommend you do. There's some really gnarly videos. Caution, be warned. It's not safe to watch around children. It is grotesque. Some nasty injuries of pipes blowing up, of other things happening due to pressure or whatever, right? We have all kinds of risk in oil and gas industry. We have electrical risk. We have slips and falls risk. We have things hanging from heights risk. We have mechanical lifting risk. We have, pressure risk. We have radiation risk. We have explosions risk. We work with all the things that can kill you real quick. But the point is that I work in this industry because it pays me a premium for my skills, right? I can't make this much money even with an MBA and a PMP working in another industry. So I make more money because I'm willing to accept the risk, the inherent risk in life, that in this industry, there's a chance I could die, but because of that chance, they're going to pay me a premium on my salary. And it's even true for if I were to travel. if I were to go overseas, there's certain countries that if I were to go to that country, they have to pay me more because that's considered a riskier country. Whether the working standards there are not as high, whether there's civil unrest or political unrest in that country, whether there's, they don't like white people very much in that country, whatever it is, my company would pay me a premium to go even above what I make now here to go to that country because there's a chance of risk. If you feel like you can safely go out in public, we're not asking you not to social distance. We're not asking you not to wear face masks. We're not asking you not to wash your hands and to take Germ-X and to take hand sanitizer. None of these things. We're not asking you to do any of those things. What we're asking you is, can you still go out in public, stay 4 to 6 feet away from somebody else, don't cough on them, don't lick that other guy's eyeball. Okay, that's very important. Don't do it. I know it's tempting. I know you do it every other day. Don't lick the dude's eyeball. Don't shake his hand. Don't do the normal things that you can do, the very easy mitigation steps. And for anybody who tells you we can't go out until the risk is completely gone, it will never be completely gone. Will never be
there's
gone.
always
with
going
risk.
to be risk in life, just in general. The flu, the flu is, I'm not saying it's comparable. Don't get me twisted, and I'm saying it's comparable. But look at how many people get sick and die every year from the flu, and the flu changes so rapidly every year that they're trying to vaccinate for it, and even then it's still kind of a shot in the dark because it's not 100% foolproof that they're going to give you the right strain, or if they're going to give you a good enough dosage, or if the thing mutated since they developed the vaccine. So we know influenza A and B are a big risk out there, and it has never kept us, this locked down. Now, I understand COVID is a different beast. It's a different creature. It's, a 14-day incubation period. You could be asymptomatic and not even know it and carry it.
Chicago
And
had 50% of its people tested for antibodies, came up positive. Boston had 32% of its people tested for antibodies, came up positive for antibodies, meaning they had it at some point.
Yeah. So you've probably had it. You've probably spread it, just didn't know you had it. And people who are susceptible to it can catch it and then get seriously sick. And yes, this disease, if you do get it and you are susceptible to it, it fucks you up pretty bad. Like, you need a ventilator. It's a shit disease. Mm-hmm. But for the majority of people out there, they're asymptomatic. They're not going to get it.
Well, so there was a county, San Bernardino, California, which thought they had about 4,000 cases. When they did the antibody testing, it came out that they most likely had about 95,000 cases. So
exactly.
30 times more, 25 times more than they thought they had. So what this tells us is that the transmissibility is high, but the severity is probably fairly low.
And if you're one of the people who is susceptible, your autoimmune system is, got issues, you are older, you're elderly, you need to be practicing social distancing. You need to be quarantining.
Yeah.
Not the rest of us.
So, I
hate to be that way, but dude, come on. There's more to life than sitting in fear.
No, and that, it just is one of those things where it's like, okay, look, do you want to live your life being told when and what you can do? If you don't want to live your life that way, where somebody gets to tell you when you can go do something, how you can do something, how much of it you can do, then maybe it's time to start pushing back here a little bit and start to understand that we have to be the ones to choose whether or not we accept this level of risk or not. And if you accept that level of risk, then you understand that that doesn't mean you're not going to catch it. We're not saying, oh, we think we're going to go out and there's no possibility. We understand that it's a possibility. We're just saying that possibility is not enough for us to forego all the other things that are possible. And it goes back to the argument of driving. Why do we drive? We drive because we need transportation. We need to get places. We don't want to walk. We don't want to ride horses. Riding horses. You can get bad hurt on riding horses. You can get bad hurt walking.
You can get hurt walking.
So,
fall in a hole, twist your ankle. I'm the walking example of stepping in a hole, twisting your ankle. It doesn't matter if
if
the
there's
hole is an inch deep. I can find it and I can twist my ankle. It's proven. It happens.
so we were hunting and Kyle was walking and he fell off in this hole. And I mean, he was waist deep off in this hole. I mean, it was a deep, deep hole. And
The only thing holding me up was my elbows. Like my feet weren't hitting the ground.
he had his gun laid flat across the ground. And yeah, he was like sitting on it. And I hear rattling. I hear rattling. There's a rattling.
Dude, we had just seen a dog get hit by a diamondback and die. I mean, I was freaked out.
he was pissing his pants, man. It was so funny. And of course we can't help him because we're laughing too hard. And we're just sitting here because you're just walking along. Do 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 do. Boom. Kyle goes 3 feet down in the ground. And it's like, oh my God, how did that happen? And yeah, I can attest that if there's a hole in a field, Kyle will find it for you. So if you ever need a hole found, if you need to know where to dig your well, call Kyle. He'll find your hole.
Yep. All right, ladies and gents, it's 8:50. It's a pretty good show, don't you say?
Yeah.
All right. So Thursday night we're gonna meet back here, do a little bit of NFL news because that'll be different and fun. Not COVID related. So, Ross, where can people find you?
Let me finish chewing my ice.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and take my turn then. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and I made a TikTok the other night about can you touch your pointer finger to your pinky? I can't do it on my right hand, but I can do it on my left. Yeah, exactly. It hurts. It's like apparently only 1% of people can do it.
I can do it on my right hand.
I can do it on my left, but not my right. I almost do it on my right.
My hand's cramping.
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts. It's like apparently only 1%.
I got it. Left
Awesome.
hand too.
All right, good job. Only 1% of people can do it. Like there's a tendon that allows you or doesn't allow you to do it. So I made my first TikTok. I did a duet of someone doing that. And I was like, I can do it on my left, but not my right. I'm sure if I were to sit there and try, I could figure out how to do it on my right, but I'm not going to because it hurts. But you can find me on those 3 platforms at Kyle Schumann 08. And Ross, why don't you go ahead and tell people how to spell my last name for me?
For me it's at Ross Schumann. That's at Romeo Oscar Sierra 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 Charlie Hotel Uniform Mike Alpha November November. Again, that's Romeo Oscar Sierra 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 Charlie Hotel Uniform Alpha Uniform Mike Alpha November November. So just to have fun with it, guys, do please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It does help us to know that you like the content, that you like what we're doing. I understand that you have a lot of things you're doing, but it takes just a second to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so that you get to know when we're going to do it. Hey, leave some comments, guys. We're changing the screens around. We're doing different things. We're trying to make it nicer. We're trying to make it better. Hey, I'm working Photoshop to get these thumbnails looking good, and it would be nice to hear somebody say, hey, man, that looks good. Go look at the one for Thursday. I spent a lot of time doing that, or at least my wife did.
He calls me on my lunch break, go look, and I'm just like, dude, I'm decompressing. I've had a shit morning. Leave me the fuck alone. He's like, go look at it right now. I'm like, I don't want to. But yes, it does look very pretty. You did a good job. Way to go, Ross. Golf clap.
Golf clap, Ross. Golf clap, Ross. So make sure you go look at that. Make sure you get a chance to see it. Make sure you know what we're doing. And guys, it's more than just us, right? It's all of Zero Gravity Media that you get a chance to see. It's HSP Boys. It's Forum. It's all these different people being put together that give you a chance to see them, that give you a chance to know what they're doing and talking about, maybe you don't like the way I put something. Maybe you like the way Russ puts it, or maybe you like the way Luke puts it, or you like something else somebody else says. There's all these different options. Just because Kyle's being a jerk and he didn't give me the love I wanted, I'm going to put that thumbnail. There it is. Look at it right there. Isn't it beautiful? It's up there.
I gave you love. You can hush.
So it's very nice.
I'll go ahead and say that when you first described the layout, I wasn't a big fan, but seeing it live and on screen doesn't look bad, but I do miss the Texas flag.
Okay, well, we'll see about working the Texas flag back in here somewhere. We'll think about different things to do. We do have the Texas flag on our intro, so there is that. You guys got to see that. It's a different intro. So let us know what you think, but do subscribe. do hit the notification bell. Do follow Kyle and I on Twitter, wherever you follow. Or Kyle's on Instagram. Apparently, Kyle's on fucking TikTok now. So go follow Kyle on TikTok.
Go watch the one video that probably will be
The-
expanded to 2 or 3 by the night.
the one video. Remember, Thursday night, 6 p.m. Draft special is going to start. I am looking for some very low carb alcohol, so we'll see.
Michelob Ultra.
Michelob Ultra is low carb, but it's still not no carb. So it's
You asked, I gave you an option.
it's an option. It's a valid option. But guys,
Or get your brother's favorite Michelob Ultra Lime.
who is that? Charles?
Yeah, who else in our family is a brother of yours?
Well, I didn't know if you meant brother-in-law, because
Oh, your brother. Your
Okay.
actual flesh and blood brother.
okay, all right. Well, we have our suspicions, okay, when it comes to him.
He looks just like us.
No. I'm not talking about his heterosexuality suspicions. We have
He's got a
suspicions.
girlfriend.
Sure.
I've met her. She's a sweetheart.
Okay. Yeah. And no gay guy has ever had a girlfriend. Yeah. Still have my suspicions. Okay. Anyway,
Okay.
Other than that, guys, have a good night, and please do follow us wherever you get a chance. Thank you so much for watching. Please do come back next time, Thursday night, 6 p.m. Kyle,
Thanks and gig 'em, y'all.
thanks for giving everybody a good night.
I think I'm going off the deep end. I think I took a left when I should have took a right.